and visualization using Microsoft Excel. We are in week 2. What we are going to do in this week, we are covering here basic Excel functions and modification of worksheet. About week 1, in the last session, we learnt about how we can go to file, account and product information to check the version of the Excel that is already installed in our systems. How we can use F2 or double click on the cell to edit the data. We actually launched the Microsoft Excel first, and accordingly we started using different functionalities of Microsoft Excel that is available in the tool. So one of them was to edit the data, to enter the data, and how after the entering the data we can do the editing part into the Excel that we covered in the last week. We learned about some common shortcuts also, how we can increase the efficiency of the tool rather than choosing the complete path to use particular functionality. We can go it with the shortcuts as well, as we are doing with for copying. We can use Control plus C. For undoing the any statement, we can use Control plus Z. For getting the print preview, we can click on Control plus P. So these were some few common shortcuts. We covered more in the last week. How you can use the home ribbon, that is with the Control plus I to format the data. We learned about the data formatting, how to customize the quick access toolbar that is available on the top of the Excel, and then we learned about very important thing in the Microsoft Excel, that is how to use relative and absolute cell references. By default, cell references used as relative one, and we can change it according to the absolute cell reference as well. Whenever we need to fix something, we can fix with the complete value as well. We can fix a complete row also, and we can fix a complete column also. When we are fixing one of them, either row or column, we are doing use of mixed cell reference. So it is depending on the application of the data, what kind of project you're working into, how to use Excel cell for quick detailed answers. So all this we covered in the last week, week 1. And I hope you have done with your assignment as well. So what we are going to do in week 2, we will learn about the basic functions, design of Excel function. We'll understand 3 basic functions. First, sum, min and max. Then we will understand the average function. We'll understand the count function. We cover auto sum and the auto fill. Modification, we will learn how we can modify the sheets, how we can insert the new worksheet, how we can insert the row and the column. Then deletion part, how we can delete the sheets and rows and the columns, moving or copying sheets and sheet formatting, Excel option and customize ribbon. So many things to do in this week as well. Let's learn Microsoft Excel with great zeal. Learning objectives of the session. By the end of the session, you'll be able to understand the structure of Excel formulas, use routine Excel functions. So these functions which we are covering here, these are very basic functions, and normally whenever you're working on Excel sheet and you need to do some kind of a calculation, so the sum, average, min, max, count functions are the basic functions. Apply autofill to your data, modify the worksheets, know more about your Excel option and customize ribbons. So these are the objective of this session. So let's start with the basic functions. What are the basic functions? So when we talk about the Excel functions, it's divided into 3 parts of an Excel function. So first we are writing here equals to. We will learn this by the practically also. Before that, just have a brief idea how these functions work. So 3 parts of an Excel function, equal to, and then name of the function, and after that the arguments we are passing to this particular function name. So as we were talking about the sum function, so what we are writing here, we are first in the cell, we are going to enter this equal to first. In place of function name, we can write sum here. So as the arguments, we need to pass the value. You require sum for what kind of particular value. And then, so the function will look like something like this, equals to function name and then the argument when it is starting with these kind of parentheses. Points to remember, functions are predefined. You cannot have your own function in Excel. So user defined functions are not allowed here. So it's already predefined by the Excel. So you can use the combination of function that is allowed. So we can have multiple function in for a particular cell. We can do that. We will learn that also. But we can't make our own function here. So how we can start with the function? First, we need to write the equals to, and we will get the option to insert the function. We can choose the particular function. If we don't remember the function, in that case we can choose it from the scroll bar option, and after choosing it we need to click it on the OK, and in the parenthesis we need to pass the argument. So this is how the function works. So here we can see the formula, what exactly we are writing, as we were doing in the case of the cell reference. We can check the formula in the formula bar. Similarly, we can do it with the formula bar. So let's try that. So I'll open my Microsoft Excel. This time I already have a sheet with me. So I'll directly come to that sheet. So this sheet is week 2. So I'll directly come to that. I don't have much things to do in that. I'll come to this sheet. So I just saved it with the week 2 name. So what we are going to do here, we are basically want to have something to check on the functions. So just zoom my screen. This will be okay for everyone. Yeah. So first I need to write equals to. So let's try the function name. So function name, we can, how we can do, if we don't remember the function name, what we can do, we can go to this formula bar, this formula tab, and click on insert function. So once we click this function, we can choose from that list which kind of function you want, and you can choose that function. So this showing search for a function, type a brief description of what you want to do, and then click to go. So for example, what I'll do, I'll just click sum, and I'll go this go. So this is showing me all the results that is starting with this sum thing. Sum if s, sum product, sum q, sq, sum x2. And the most important thing and the interesting one, whenever you're clicking one particular function, you can actually see what that function is doing here. Adds all the numbers in a range of cells. Similarly, if I'll go to sum if, adds the cells specified by a given condition or criteria. So it's not necessary you need to cram all the functions or something. If you are confused about something but you have something in your mind, so what you can do, you can just write that particular keyword in that search for a function and click on the go, and accordingly from the choices you can cross check this is the same function you want to work, and accordingly you can click on OK. So this is recommended. And another category also, so if you want to have all function, you can have that complete list with you. So you can see these all much functions are available with Microsoft Excel. Similarly, what I can do, I can go for any statistical function as well. This is average A, average F. So these all functions lies in the category of statistical. Similarly, we can go for financial as well. We can go for date and time as well. Date, value, days 360. So just for now, you can just have a look on these functions, so that you should be aware these all functions are available with Microsoft Excel. Then you can go for this lookup and references. We have another category, database, text, logical, information, engineering, cube, compatibility, web. So these all are the categories available. So what are the ways to do that? Use the function. First, we need to write equals to. If you don't remember the function, then you can click on the insert function. You can write that particular function name and click on the go. Or you can choose from these category, either from the all or most recently used or any other category, specific category, you can choose that function. Another option is like what you can use from recently used also, financially, logical, text, date and time, lookup and references. So you have these other option also to choose the function here, more functions. So you can choose the particular function. For this thing, for what we can do, before calculating something, we are talking here about the function. We should have the data at least. So let me enter a small data set, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So what I want to have a sum of all these values. So where I want that result, I want to result in this cell. This is my B7. So I'll write equals to, I'll write here sum. Now you need to pass the value So you want to have the value from 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So what I can do, I can click on this. So once I'm clicking that, now you just see without doing any kind of changes, this is showing here B2. So as you are talking about formula here. Now another thing, the next number is 20. Okay, that is fine. 30, that is fine. 40, that is fine. And we have 50 as well. So that is not visible here. So I'll write here B6 and then I end that parenthesis and I'll click on the enter. So this is giving me result in 50. Is it correct? Yes. 10 plus 20 is 30. 30 plus 30 is 60. 60 plus 40 is 100 and 100 plus 50 is 150. So the result is very much correct. So we got the result with the using the function sum function. Very nice. So now I have another sheet as well with me. So I just downloaded it and it will be provided in the data set as well. So I'll open that also. This is a financial sample. This is available on the Microsoft's website. So it's easy to download also. This Excel sheet is having somewhere about 700 records. So what I'm going to do now, in my case now, if I want to have a total for this unit sold, now total values we have here, this is 700 approximately, and I want to have a total for these all the units sold here. So in that case, if I need to apply the same function, sum function, that is easy. But whether I need to do what, I need to write everything in the comma again and again? No, I don't need to do so. So let's check that. This is called giving a range. How we can give the range? Now I want to have this sum here in the end at the 702 row. Here I want to have the result for this unit sold. So what I'll do, I'll click on equals to. I'll click on equals to. So I'll provide here the range here. How I can provide the range here? First I need to just enable the saving here. Okay, so what I want to do, I want to have the result here for the case of units sold here. This is my E. So the value is starting from E2. E2. So I'll come to the end. This is again, I'm reminding you people that we have total 700 records here and here I want to have the result. So I'll click on the equals to, I'll write here sum and I'll give here which value? E2 and then I'll write here colon. I'm not writing here comma, I'm writing here colon. Now after writing colon, what I'll do, I need to provide a range. So that range is from E2 to E701. So I'll write again sum E2 range starts from E700. Now you can see that as I'm done with this writing E2 colon E700, it is picking up actually the range and it is selecting everything that is written in the column E. And I'll close that parenthesis and click on the enter. I got the result. So this is how we got the result by providing the range. I don't need to do that comma thing again and again to provide each cell value for this sum function. I can do that also, that is also correct way, but obviously that is a very lengthy process. Similarly, I'll come to this sheet also. So here instead of writing that comma thing, what we can do, we can write here sum and we can provide a particular range. So the cell value is B2 colon and then B6. So this is ending here and parenthesis closed and I'll click on the enter and thus we are getting here the result. So in this way, using comma we can have the multiple values and using colon we are providing a particular range. So range, when it is talking about range, it is picking everything from that value. So starting from B2 to B6, everything inside that range is selected in that function. This is how we are using the function. So how you can do that? If you are not remember with the name of the function, what you can do, you can write equals to, you can click on the insert and look for that particular function and the remarks for that particular function is coming here. Even you can go for the self-help as well, help on this function. and you can choose that function and click on OK. Or another way to do that, you can choose from these function that particular function. Right now we just understood how we can use the sum function. So this is about the sum function. We learnt about three parts, that is equals to, function name, arguments, the passing the arguments. So arguments are basically the values we are passing to that particular function. It is your choice how you want to use that function from which option. Understanding sum, min and max functions. So we learned basically how we can use the basic functionality of the functions. Now sum, we understood sum, range, or this how we can provide the range. Similarly, let's try the minimum as well, the maximum as well, and these functions we will try first, sum, min and maximum. So sum is basically it adds all the numbers in the range of cells. Whatever is provided in that particular range, so it will give us total of that particular numbers. And when we are talking about min function actually provides us, it gives the resultant of the minimum value that we are providing in that particular range. And on the other side, we have the maximum function, that max function. It returns the maximum value from that particular range. So these three functions are very frequently used. So let's try that with our function first. So we tested with the sum. I'll just write here sum so that understood that what we are doing here. This is sum. Let's try for the max. Let's try for the min then. So what I'll do, we will do the range thing only. So this is for the sum, and let's try for now. This is our numbers. I'll make it bold and just have a good color as well. Let's make it centralize. Also, we learned the formatting. Yes, now this looks nice. Let's try the maximum function. So I'll give equals to max function. What is the range here? This range is starting from B2 colon and B7. Range is provided. Is it B7 or B6? Let's give it B6. So what is the maximum value from that range from B2 to B6? So you can just have a look. What should be the result? Result should be 50. Let's check with the Excel. Can Excel do it correctly or not? Yes, Excel is performing it very well. Again, I'll make the changes to try the min function. This is the min function. Let's provide the range. We can provide the values or the arguments in the comma as well, but we can provide the range as well. As we have a good numbers, then in that case we are providing colon with a range. So here again we are providing data B2 colon and then B6. I'll close the parenthesis, enter. Yes, and 10 is the minimum value from that set. This is the small 5 number set, a group of 5 number value. Now formula is written here. Can I make the changes here? Yes, we can make the changes. So these all the formulas are working in the case by taking the cell references only. That is relative cell reference, not the absolute one. So I can change the values as well. What I can do, let me make any changes. So now I am doing the changes. I'll make this 50 to 100. Now you just see result is also changed for the sum. I have not done any other changes. Formula is already written. What has done? I just changed this number. So sum is changed. Maximum value is changed. Minimum is the same. What if I change the minimum value as well? I'll make it 5. So I'm getting the result again. So its changes are reflected here. So this is the power of the functions. You don't need to do anything once your formula is done, that you are decided with one particular thing that you want to do some kind of calculation. You can apply the formulas over there, and in case of any changes in your Excel sheet, you're good to go with the formulas. You don't need to change the formulas again. This is the beauty of this Microsoft Excel tool. So let's try this max function, this min function with the big data set as well. So I'll go back to this financial sample again. So we have the 700 records. So we did it. Now we can show the formula as well. If you remember that, you should remember that. So it was how we did that. We went to this data tab and we formula, and we can show the formulas. So here we can see the formulas. What was the formula provided here? Similarly, what I am doing here, sum is done, and then I am applying here min also for the minimum function. The range is from E2 to E700. So minimum function is provided here. it is giving some error. We will see update formula to include cells. No, we don't want to add the formula. It is asking for the above value. No, we don't want to apply that. And then maximum function, and the range is again E2 colon E700. I'll close that and enter. Again the same error. Let's ignore that, ignore formula. This is the formula thing. And then what we can do, let me disable the show formulas, and we have the results with us. So $200 and $4492. So this is our maximum number, this is our minimum number. So we applied the same formula for the 700 values as well for the units sold in the financial sample database. So we tried it with 5 numbers as well. We tried it with the 700 numbers as well. So our sum worked very well. Now we are able to calculate the sum of the numbers that we are providing in a particular range. We are able to conclude the maximum number from the range. We are able to conclude the minimum number from that particular range. Let's come back to slides. So we learned about sum function, we learned about the minimum function, we learned about the maximum function. Adds all the numbers in a range of cells. We did that. Minimum function, this is returning the minimum value from that particular range. Maximum function, returning the maximum value from the range. We can apply it for two numbers as well. So we can, even in the two numbers, we can use comma or the colon. It is up to us. Understanding average and the count function. Next two functions of this we are average and the count function. So average is basically as we calculated. This is the calculating the average. So we can do it for the range also. And in the case of the count function, it actually counts only the numeric values. So count function counts the number of cells in a range that contain a number. Let's use that and then we will understand how it is happening. Let's go back to week 2 small data set first. So now I want to use this count function. Rather than going down, I can use the count function here because we can give the range. So I'll write here count. Now you can see here counts the number of cells in a range that contains the numbers. So what I am doing before that, proceeding to something, let me write something again. 5, 10, 20, 30. So now I have total 4 numbers. So I want to get it output from Excel. So I'll provide the range. Range is now D2 colon to starting from D5. So I'll write here D5. I'll close the parenthesis and click on the enter. So this is 4. This is perfect. What if now I'll write here instead of 20, I'll write A, B, C, D something. Now this is 3. This is the provided into the range, but this is not a number. In that case, it is only counting the numeric value. That is why it is returning 3. If I'll make it again at a alphabet, so it will give me answer 2. If I'll change it to E, it will give me answer 1. If I'll change it to E again, it will give me answer 0. So this count function is actually returning only the numerical values. So this is the beauty of this function count. Similarly, if we talk about the average, I want to take an average of these all 5 numbers. This is 5, 20, 30, 40, 100. So normally what happens, we are dividing the sum, the total of the sum by the number of the values. So let's try in the both way how we can do that. First, what I'll do, I'll calculate the sum. Sum it already calculated here. So total count, if I'll calculate here, count, I'll write first what I'm calculating. So count is ranges from D2 colon, I'll start and then B6. So this is count. I'll close that parenthesis and this is total 5. Now for calculating the average, what should be the formula? This from the basic maths, we are aware about that. So what I will do, I'll divide this sum. I have written here equals to. I'll click on that. So by default, it is picking up D7 divided by count, that is 5. So this is the average of 39. What we did, we calculated the total, the sum value of those numbers. We have the count with us and then we divided it with the 5 and we got the average. Similarly, if I'll do it with the average function, I'll write average and I'll just provide this range, that is 5 to 100. Now I am doing it by selecting like this, B2 to B6. I'll close the parenthesis So answer is again same. So Microsoft Excel is working very fine and calculating the average perfectly. Now the another case, if I'll change this with G. Now in that case, see the changes. I'll come again. Just see the changes where you need to keep your eye. You need to keep your eye on the sum. You need to keep your eye on the count. You need to keep your eye on the average and this average also. This average is calculated by the formula AVG. This average is calculated by the division. What I am doing, I am just making one particular number as an alphabet. So I am making this 40 as a G. In that case, sum is changed. Yes. Count is changed to 4. Yes. Average is changed. Yes, in both the cases. So again, Excel did the smart work and changed the values accordingly. Average can be calculated only for the numerical values, so it made the changes accordingly. So count also, sum also, average also, these all are working in the case of the numerical values. So this is, we covered the count and average. So let's try this on the good data set also, that is large data set. So for the units sold again, I'll come to the down, the 700 crores something, I'll do page down and I'll come to the formula thing. So after applying sum and minimum and the maximum, let's try the count as well. So I'm applying here count and then giving the range. The range is from E2 colon E700, parenthesis closed. So this is, let's ignore the error. So this is what we calculated the count. This is perfect, 699. And then we have, because the first value is the column name that is in the alphabet, that is why it is returning 699. And again I want to calculate the average, and in that case we are again providing the range E2 colon E700 and this is the average. Let's ignore the error again. So this we got the results. So we tried the 5 functions total, that is, I'll show with the formula, show formulas. So we tried sum, we tried minimum, we tried maximum, we tried count, and we tried the average. And the good thing is that in the Excel as well, if I'll just disable the show formulas. So let's come back to our this sheet. I'm selecting some numbers here, and if you see here in the down, you can actually see these things also. Average is also already given, count is already given, sum is already given. You have not provided or applied any kind of formula, but still you can see these options. If I click on that, I can actually make the changes as well. So you can see, you can copy the values from here also. You can see the things from this side. Count is this, sum is this. So the sum of selected value. Now you, if you hover your mouse here, you can see the tooltip and where it is showing sum of selected cell, copy to clipboard, number of selected cell that contain data, copy to clipboard, average of selected cells. So at least for the overlook of your data, you can apply that. But at least if you need the result in your Excel sheet, in that case, you need to insert the function. Either it is sum function, either it is the minimum function, count function, average function, and it only counts in numerical values.